In this video, we are going to make a grid. Then we will add an infinite scroll to the grid and finally transform the element and add some shadows to make it look like slabs of items scrolling horizontally on the screen. All of this will be made without using JavaScript. Let's make it happen. We are going to start by making two divs. The parent div will be the container for the pattern. And the child div will be the grid pattern itself. We can directly render a grid in a single div, but we might have to make some overflow adjustments later on. So we are using two divs. Let's write some CSS. We will set the parent height and width to exactly fit our screen. Pattern container is inside the HTML body, and the body tag has some margin by default so that our element doesn't have white border around it. We are going to set the position as absolute and set the top and left properties as 0 pixels. Now our element will take the full screen without any white spaces around it. Perfect! Our element covers the entire screen. We will comment that property out and write some CSS for our grid. We will set some background color, so our element is visible. The position will be set as relative, and it will take full height and width from the parent. For creating the actual grid, we will use background image property. This property takes image, but we can also give linear gradient as input. The gradient will be from left to right. The first color will start at 0 and end at 10. Then the second color will be transparent from 10 pixels to 100% of the element width. Here you can see we have a line of 10 pixels width and 100% height. This is a gradient, and the remaining section contains transparent color, so is not visible. A single line can't make grid, so we will use background size property to decide the size of grid. We will set height and width as 100 pixels, as this size is small for our grid pattern div size. It will repeat the pattern to fill the entire element. We have horizontal pattern on the screen. It is actually a combination of a singular grid pattern repeating over and over again. The grid line are thick, and only the starting of the gradient has a line, which means the end of gradient will not have a color. To fix this, we will change the linear gradient to 3 colors. The first and last will be gray, and middle will be transparent. Both of them have a 1 pixel width. Here you can see I have written 2 values for the transparent color and 1 value for the end and none for the first. The thing is that in the first color, if you don't write any pixels, the browser will assume it starts from 0 pixels and goes to the start of second color. The colors in middle must have 2 values. The first value states the transparent color will start from 1 pixel onwards and end at 99 pixels. Then, on the final, we are stating the starting position of the color. The color starts at 99 pixels, leaving 1 pixel gray color at the end. In the first and last color, you can add both start and end values, or you can leave it empty, but in the middle colors, You have to write both start and end values for it to take proper space. Now we have perfect vertical lines. We can stack more items, so let's create similar gradient, but for horizontal lines. With an sample image, we can see how our code is actually working. Look how it is repeating all over the element. And we have a grid which is responsive. Let's add infinite scroll animation. We will use CSS keyframes. The starting position of keyframe will be same as the current element's position, but the end position will slide 100 pixels upward. We will use this keyframe on our animation property. The animation will run for 1 second, and our animation will be infinite. Now our element will move up by 100 pixels, go back to same position, and again go up by 100 pixels. Since our grid squares are also 100 pixels, it gives a false sense of infinite upscroll. To create horizontal orientation effect, we will use the transform property with some functions. We will keep the perspective 1500 pixels. Perspective is used to create 3D effect by applying depth perception. It is the distance of camera from the Z-plane. And we will use rotation properties to change the orientation of element as we like. I found this degree of rotation best for my use case. You can inspect element and try other orientations and find the best option for you. Rotate Y rotates the element on Y-axis. Rotate X rotates the element on X-axis. And perspective will change the camera position. We need to fill the entire screen, so we will increase the size of element. As the size of element increased, our element doesn't fit in the screen and overflows from the parent container. To solve that, we will add overflow hidden property to our container. Now, the overflow has been removed, but still, the grid is not visible. It's because our element is not positioned properly to be visible on the parent element. I will change some position property, so the view we want to show on the parent element aligns perfectly. Here we have a good infinite scroll grid. You can inspect it and play with the position property to understand how the grid pattern is positioned on the container. Let's add another gradient property on our element to make it look like slabs. We will use 2 different shades of gray so that it feels like a shadow. Finally, we have an infinite looping horizontal grid. The code link is in the description. And if you want to see similar front-end development tutorials, please subscribe our channel and hit the like button. Thank you for watching.